So in here we have the notes for Friday, January 22nd. In this session, we're going to cover section 4.6, part 1. And in this lesson, we're going to continue to factor, but in this time, we're going to go ahead and learn another method, which is called the AC method. Always, before any method, the first thing you always ask is if there's a GCF. If there's a GCF, you take the GCF out. If there's no so if there's a GCF, you take it out, and then you ask how many terms you have left. All right? If there's no GCF, then you go directly and ask the question, how many terms? The number of terms tells you which method to use. So far, we know how to take the GCF out, and we know that when we have 4 terms, we use grouping method. Now, when we have 3 terms, the method that I always use is called the AC method. There are other methods, but I only use one. I prefer to teach one and make sure we learned it, then bring several methods and confuse you. If you know other methods, you are welcome to use it, other than an external tool that simply gives you the answer. All right? So, for the AC method, right? For the AC method, right? We use this method when there's 3 terms. This is based on the quadratic form, right here, standard form of the quadratic. See? A, B, C. A, C method, right? The steps to the AC method goes as follows. Step 1 is to multiply the A term times the C term, all right? Once you have multiplied that will give you a number. Okay, so you want to list all the factors of this number, right? All the multiples of this. Once you have listed all the factors, all the multiples, you're going to look at all the multiples and you're going to see which of those will add or subtract to the middle term. So which of this multiplicate of those factors will add or subtract to the b. All right? Then you're going to rewrite the polynomial as a polynomial of 4 terms. And after you do that, the rest is grouping method, because we know when we have 4 terms, we factor using grouping. Now, words, let's see some numbers. So in this example, you have 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. Step 1 is to multiply the a times the c. 12 times negative 2. That gives you negative 24, right? Step 2 is to list all the factors of this multiplication. So the factors of 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. All right? Step 3 is find from this multiplication, from these factors, which one will add or subtract to the middle term. Oops. I don't want to write it on top of it. To the middle term. In this case, the middle term is 5, negative 5. All right? So how I find whether it's going to be addition or subtraction goes like this. I have lots of words here. So I use the given signs from the problem to determine whether I'm going to add or subtract. So the first thing I do is bring this sign. See? The negative 5, I bring the negative. Okay? And then I'm going to say a negative. So this negative 5 right here. This negative 5 right here times this term, this negative right here. So what is a negative times a negative? It's a positive. You see how you have negative and positive? Let's use a different color. These are different signs. Oh man, I can write now. Different signs. And when you have different signs using the rules of signage, you're going to subtract. Which means you're going to subtract. So, out of these factors, which ones will subtract to 5? And that will be 3 and 8. And out of these two, which one do I always write first? The largest one, which will be A. Because the first sign is going to be negative. So it's going to be negative A plus 3 will subtract to negative 5. Right? Always write the largest number first. And this is how it will look. Okay? Once you have determined your signs, I know I'm going to have 3 and 8. I'm going to bring down the negative sign, which is what the first sign. And I know that the second sign is going to be a positive because I will head and multiply this negative times this negative, which is a positive number. So I know that they're different. And I always write the largest number first. So that's where I got the A. I'm going to make a note there. I always write the largest number first. Okay, a little bit messy there, but you know what I mean, right? You're hearing my voice. Good. Once you have this, you just factor using grouping method. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it here. Because it's 4 terms, so you know that when you have 4 terms, you do grouping. And this is the reason why I use the AC method. Because in the AC method, the first part is different. Yes, I will not say that it's not. But the second part is grouping. And you already know grouping. So I'm not introducing a complete new concept. I'm introducing part of a new concept. Part. The rest you know. So what the first 2 terms have in common is 4x. What the next 2 terms have in common is simply the number 1. All right? The 1 can be very helpful. When you do this division, you're left with 3x minus 2. And here, when you do this division, oh, I forgot the 1. Don't forget the 1. Very important. You have this. They're both the same. Yay! Remember grouping, they gotta be the same. If they're not the same, we gotta go back and try again. And that will be it. We have factored this trinomial using the AC method. Right, let's go ahead and see more examples. So I have 3 terms. But before that, I gotta check for the GCF. I checked, there's no GCF. So I'm moving on to the question, how many terms? 3 terms, so I'm gonna use AC method. All right. First step in AC method is to multiply the A times the C. So I'm going to say 10 times 3. That's going to give me 30. Factors of 30. 1 times 30. 2 times 15. 3 times 10. And 5 times 6. I think that's it. After that, it repeats. I always start with the smallest number. I always start in order. From 1, and then I keep going, no matter how large the number is. Notice that I didn't include the negative. It's because using the methods of bring the first sign, multiply the first times the last, and that will give you the second sign. That already tells you what are the signs that you're going to need. All right? So I can ignore having to have this negative here. So first I need to say, okay, what are my signs? First sign is positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. So that means I'm going to have different signs, which means I'm going to subtract, right? So which of these 2 numbers will subtract to 1? Hopefully you saw 5 and 6. All right, I always write the largest number first. Always write the largest number first. Right? And I'm referring to the 6 right here. So now the next step is to rewrite this trinomial as a polynomial of 4 terms using the 5 and the 6. The 5 and the 6 will replace the middle term. All right, making it 4 terms instead of 3. So the first comes down, largest number first, using the sign. I know this is going to be plus 6x. I know the second one is going to be negative, minus 5x minus 3. All right, so now I'm simply going to break it in half and do grouping. These two have in common a 2x. So I'm left with 5x plus 3. These two have in common a negative 1. Let's ignore that. I have 5x plus 3. All right. Notice that they're both the same. We check. If they're not the same, I got to go back, right? So I bring 1 down. And then I'm left with 2x minus 1. And that's it. I know the process just keep getting longer and longer. DCF, simple. Grouping, all right. Oh, now AC. Now I will tell you AC is the longest one out of all the methods we're going to learn, but there are several. So, okay, let's keep going. Let's see another example. First thing again is always to check if there's a GCF. No GCF here. So then we're going to multiply the A term times the C. So we have 2 times 6. That's going to give me 12. Factors of 12 that will add or subtract to 7. Well, let's see. How do we know what it's going to be? Bring the first sign. A positive times a positive is a positive. Same signs. Same signs means you're going to add. All right? That's simple. So now when we rewrite it, when we ask which of these ones will add to 7, we know that it's going to be 3 and 4. 3 plus 4, 7. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this trinomial as a polynomial of 4 terms. The first sign I know is going to be positive, so I'm going to have plus. I know I have to write the largest number first. All right, and then I'm going to write the next one. Second sign is going to be positive again. And then I bring down the 6. Then I'm going to go ahead and split it in the middle. What does the first 2 terms have in common? Is 2x. What these two have in common is a 3. I'm going to bring down the 2x, then left over is x plus 2. Bring my plus 3 over here. Left is x plus 2. Notice that they're the same. Check, check, yay. So we're going to go ahead and bring down the x plus 2 down. And we're left with 2x plus 3. And there we have that part. All right. So step 1, multiply the A times the C. Step 2, list the multiples of that multiplication. Step 3, find the 2 that will add or subtract to the middle term. Step, 4, rewrite. Step 5, factor using grouping method. All right. Let's see two more examples, I believe. Yeah. Ooh, we have some big numbers. Definitely want to make sure check if there's a GCF. First, check for GCF. 25, 45, and 20. I do believe there's a GCF of 5. They're all divisible by 5. Go ahead and take that out. So I'm going to be left with 5y squared minus 9y plus 4. Then we're going to go ahead and do the AC method because inside this parentheses, they are 3 terms. And now that we have learned the AC method, we must check if we can factor that using the AC method. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the A times the C. That gives me 20. Then I'm going to list the factors of 20. Then I have 4 and 5, and I think that's it. Yep. Now I need to find my signs. So the first sign is going to be a negative. Then a negative times a positive is a negative. So I have the same signs, which means I am going to add. So out of these ones, which ones add to 9? To negative 9. The 4 and the 5. So the next step is to rewrite this. I'm going to go ahead and draw this down to not forget my GCF. So then this becomes 5y squared, writing the largest one first, minus 5y minus 4y plus 4. All right, so using the two factors, the two signs, I know this is a negative, this is a negative. Then I'm going to split in the middle. What do these two have in common? It's a 5y. This is a y. I don't know why it looks like a g. Or maybe because I don't write so well. And then this has a negative 4 in common. All right. So I have 5y times y minus 1. I have the negative 4, and I have y minus 1. Yay! This is and this are the same. So then we're going to go ahead and bring everything else down. So I have y minus 1, set parentheses, and 5y minus 4. And I cannot forget my GCF. Gotta come down. 5y. 5 right there. Don't forget the GCF. Because if you forget it, it will be wrong. It will be wrong. All right? And as you do this and more and more and more, it's the same steps over and over again. I like asking the questions. GCF, how many terms? Which method? This times that gives me what? Ask the questions. All right? And make sure you have the correct answers. Last step. I feel like I'm out of breath. Okay, so yes, the 2 and the 14 do have a 2 in common, but the 9 does not. So no GCF. We're going to go ahead and try and do the multiplication. So the A times the C. So 2 times 14, that gives you 28. Factors of 28. That does not look like a 2. It's like a not happy 2. Let's use this guy. 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 and 7. Is there anything else? Am I forgetting one? I don't think so. I don't think so, right? Do you agree? Hopefully you do. 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7. I believe those it. Now, let's find our signs. So I have a positive right here. And then a positive times a positive is another positive. So same signs. Means I need to add. Okay, so out of these factors, which ones will add to 9? If you notice, 1 and 28 adds to 29. 2 and 14 adds to 16. 4 and 7 adds to 11. So what happens? Nothing happens. This is not factorable. Factorable. Hopefully I spelled that right. Or better nice, I like this one, is easier. Or you can say it's prime. Means you cannot factor it. There has to be another method. We have to learn, not yet, we don't have it yet, another method of solving this one. All right? So the answer will be not factorable or prime. Okay? This one we cannot factor it out. There are no factors of 28 that will add to 9. Okay? And that will be it for this lesson. Make sure you have all the notes written down and all the examples.